I'd like to call the April 19th, 2016 meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Please join us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to start by introducing our board members, starting to my left. Christopher Bluer. I'm Todd Chernick.
Walt Recook.
Kim Keller.
And we will have another board member joining us momentarily. That is Sumit Shah. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-legal board comprised of resident volunteers of the City of Milton. The board is charged with hearing requests for variances from the standards of the zoning ordinance and appeals of administrative determination. With regard to decisions on primary variances, which we'll be hearing tonight, the board's basis for decision is provided by these four considerations. A, relief if granted would not offend the spirit or intent of the ordinance, and B, there are such extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property that the literal or strict application of the ordinance would create an unnecessary hardship due to size, shape, or topography, or other extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions not caused by the variance applicant. And C, relief if granted would not cause a substantial detriment to the public good and surrounding properties. And D, that the public safety, health, and welfare are secured and that substantial justice is done. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the meeting agenda as published, and prior to seeking that motion, I'd actually like to make a motion to amend our meeting agenda and striking number 8 from tonight's agenda, which is election of new officers, in light of the fact that we have so many absences tonight. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Sure. Before you consider that, I guess I'd like to get a motion to postpone it to the next meeting rather than just simply strike.
That's fair. Well, can we have discussion?
Certainly.
Is there, because the motion has been seconded, and then I can retract? I think it's important to, so we've had attendance issues in trying to get everyone's input, but I think it's also important to understand, and I don't care what role I necessarily serve here, or for that matter, but we are in the midst of a comprehensive plan for the City of Milton, which is presented to Council here in September. And as part of that role, as chairperson, I've been appointed to that committee. So, I think that just needs to be considered, whether or not we just continue to postpone month after month, or if we just push off until a later date. I'll leave it to the board. Is there any feedback regarding that?
I mean, if anybody wants to attend the comprehensive plan, they can. I did, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think from that standpoint, I think that it's
Not a big deal.
not a big deal per se. I mean, we have to, at some point, we have to hold elections, and we just have to do it whenever is the most opportune time. And we may find that there are only 6 of 7 of us here, and if it is what it is. But I think at some point,
Okay, that's fair.
within a month or two, if we're not able to get all 7, then we just need to move forward with what we have. That's my suggestion. But
Is there any other discussion? So I will withdraw my motion and restate.
I withdraw my second.
That I would move to amend agenda item number 8 to postpone the election of new officers into our next scheduled Board of Zoning meeting.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? So a motion and a second to postpone the election of officers, item number 8, until our next scheduled meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It passed unanimous. So now we'll need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion that we approve the April 19th, 2016, I'm sorry, 2019
2016.
16. I am being dyslexic. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the April 19th, 2016 agenda as presented and amended.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimous. We'll next move to item number 4 on our agenda, which is approval of the March meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for approval of the March meeting minutes.
I'll second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the March meeting minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I need to abstain.
And we have one abstention. The motion passes with 4 voting in favor. Consideration of primary variances, item number 5. I'll call B16-004, 235 Buckland Run. Would staff please present?
Okay, Here. The site, 235 Buckland Run, is a single-family home in the Providence Lake subdivision.
do they need
The lot is 1.10 acres, the zone AG1, and is
share
in
with you.
the rural Milton overlay. Jeffrey Jones is representing the owners, Robert and Cheryl O'Donnell. They propose to build a 500-square-foot, single-car garage on the side of their property. The garage will encroach into the eastern side property line by 12.25 feet. Section 64-416J1 states that the side setback for AG1 properties is 25 feet. No structures are to be constructed in this area. Since Mr. Jones's clients propose to build a garage in the side setback, a variance is required. On April 5th, 2016, the DRB offered the following comments. It would help if we could see the drawings of the house and the roof system. Truth is, you can attach that garage to that house and have all or most of it out of the setback. I know the house. There are windows back there and there are nice stone steps on the side. There is nowhere to extend it to the front because they are already on the front setback. I understand that this is a 2-car garage and a 3-car garage is usual and customary to the neighborhood. In order for us to agree to it, we need to see what it's going to look like. Do you have a plat that shows the second field? It might be good to show on the site plan. Let the BZA see that so they can understand why you can't push it back. Bring a letter from the adjacent neighbor or the neighborhood saying that they are okay with it. Have a photo of the area and a photo showing what the front and back are going to look like. Bring the garage back before the DRB for approval. The staff held a focus meeting on March 2nd, 2016, at which time the following comments were provided. Site plan review, city architect, arborist, DOT stormwater, all had no comments. The standards for consideration were read earlier, and the applicant has responded as follows. The narrow shape of the lot, topography and position of the house to the curvature of the road prevent a practical solution within the current side setbacks. Relief, if granted, would maintain the intended separation of structures greater than 50 feet because the neighboring lot is much wider and the house driveway is set on the opposite side. It would also be consistent within the community as many other detached garages of similar size and location have been built by other residents. The staff response. The intent of the ordinance is to create uniformity amongst the residential lots in the city of Milton. There is supposed to be at least 50 feet between homes. The way the house is situated on the lot limits the area where a detached garage can be placed. Placing the proposed garage adjacent to the existing garage and the existing pad will still place the structure in the side setback. Further back, landscaping, hardscaping, and topography preclude the placement of the garage next to the house. Relief is granted when that causes substantial detriment to the public good and surrounding properties. Granting this variance would not harm public safety, health, and welfare. Substantial justice will be done. Should the board choose to approve the application, staff recommends the following conditions. The roof pitch, materials, and colors of the new addition shall match those of the existing house. The final design should be approved by the city architect prior to the issuance of the building permit. Staff recommends approval with conditions of this request. And I also have a letter of support from the HOA president, and that concludes this staff presentation.
Are there any questions of staff? Walt?
Angela, on the plan that's attached to this, it does not show the garage. At least if it does, I'm not aware of where this attached garage is. Is there a plan that shows what they're asking for?
Site plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's the square box to the left of the house.
So it's not attached, it's a detached.
Detached.
So the verbiage that was used by the applicant said attached. That's what confused me.
Says freestanding garage.
Or is it just saying that there's other houses with detached?
I'm sorry, where is this?
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I misread it. So that's detached. There's other detached garages. Okay.
As enlarged with their Walt.
Okay, thank you.
Has staff received any drawings or renderings of the proposed structure?
No, the last time I talked to the contractor about that, they had not developed any. And I think I suggested they have something to show the board, but I haven't seen any.
Detached, okay.
Okay, in light of that, and hopefully the applicant has something for us to understand a little bit more conceptually what they're trying to do, but in light of what we know now, the proposed condition is using the term that the addition shall match. Is that a comfortable term for the city?
By match, I mean that. So the house has siding and I think some brick. So, and I think there might be a water table. So I don't think that would be hard to match. The roof pitch is what it is. You can face the garage and siding. If there's a water table, add a water table. And paint it's the same color.
Okay, so and you've outlined that pitch, materials, color. I mean, would you go as far then to say as design should match?
I mean, to me, that was an assumption, but yes.
If the applicant did not require a variance, would that garage have to go in front of DRB?
No.
Okay.
And again, I guess I got one more question on the matching. I guess I always wonder, we had another applicant that came in that had a very hard time matching water table brick, and if I remember, that's why they went with rock, and they had some other issues with matching this and matching that, and I think eventually we just said, well, we'll just approve it. But I just want to make sure we sometimes...
Yeah, I don't think there's anything, difficult about this one. I think the brick is like a light color. If nothing else, could be all siding. That's about as easy as it gets.
Okay. Just wanted to address that up front and give the applicant a chance to comment if they feel fit. Any other questions of staff? Okay, with that, then I'd like to call the applicant to present their application, and please understand you have 10 minutes to do so.
And if you want to speak, I need the yellow card, please. You have it done, you can fill it out after that.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Jones. I'm a contractor, and my clients are Bob and Cheryl O'Donnell that own 235 Buckland Road. As growing needs of their family, additional cars, they have a need for more garage space, which their current home has a 2-car garage. Providence Lake subdivision has approximately 90 homes, which more than half of those homes have 3 cars or more garage space in the subdivision. The proximity to the house is as close as we feel as rational with the topography that we have. And also, the side elevation of that house has a 2nd story with windows, and I can provide photographs if that would be more helpful for you to understand. To attach to the garage would mean closing egress to bedrooms and other issues along with that line. There are other detached garages within the community. I drove through and counted 14 detached garages that have been built within the community. So it's very similar to what's in the neighborhood and the look that's in the neighborhood. This particular lot is the curvature of the road as it approaches the cul-de-sac. The lot narrows, and when the house was positioned to face the road, it was set on an angle on the lot. So to place that garage at the end of the driveway puts us within the side setback area that you can see where the side setback comes in where the garage is now. Some existing photographs of the home. Can I submit them now? Is that something that we have?
Yes, you can hand those to staff.
Two sets. There's one. And as well as, this is a concept of something similar to what the customer would like to build on there. But the plan is for the new structure to be built with the same elevation, style, and materials as the house itself, which is a stone-based foundation with a water table or shade siding.
It's not the same, because that's what they want to build.
We have gotten
What they
letters
want
from
to
the
build.
adjacent property owners on each side as well as across the street. And I think it was also referenced, there's been a letter from the homeowners association also that there's no objection to this agenda. I believe Angela has referenced this one. And then
I think it's in our package.
he has the other ones.
I don't know.
Do you have the ones from the property owners on each side?
Only one property owner.
I think we only have the HOA. We have the HOA, if you can submit the other one.
These are letters from each of the neighbors and directly across the street. In keeping spirit with the intent of the ordinance to maintain 50 feet, the adjacent property, as it's getting into the cul-de-sac, is actually very wide, and the house is shifted to the opposite side with their driveway. And there's quite a bit of space between the existing properties now. So even with the garage placed as we have proposed, there's going to be an excess of 50 feet in separation of the structures. So that will continue to be maintained. This is also an aerial view that can show the adjacent property. If this would be helpful to us.
Are you ready for some questions? Are there any questions for the applicant? Walt?
I noticed on the existing home, it has a 2-car garage with each individual garage having its own door. And I noticed on the proposed plan, it just shows one door. Was there any
that's a
feedback
concept
from?
of something similar that.
Let me finish my question. Is there any feedback necessarily from the plan that you showed us? Was that the plan that was approved by the HOA, or have they not looked at the plan that only shows one garage door?
They may have seen that. I don't know that they per se approved that particular plan.
Okay. So they're not they're not having a problem with this detached garage, but have they formally approved an architectural plan for the?
No.
Okay, thank you. Will they have to, is the next question. I guess, will they have to go before the board to get that approved?
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the proposed conditions is that the city architect will have to approve as well.
As well.
That's something that's being requested, not
Right, I was just saying it's one of the potential
Sure.
conditions. I have a question. You identified and showed the topography issues that you're dealing with. Is there also a septic issue that I heard?
There is a septic at the rear of the property.
Is that located on this land survey?
It is not,
From
but I
Dunning?
have done a detail that can provide that information. And to state how I know where that tank is we did an addition on this property several years ago, which has a fireplace on that back corner of the deck. And the original idea had that fireplace being on an angle set out a little more, and we actually found that tank on that corner and moved the fireplace back inside. So
And
that tank is there.
Okay.
Based on the area back there, I'm kind of plugged in where the field lines most likely are. So the thought of moving that back further was not feasible.
Okay. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Do you have any issues, or does your client have any issues with what you've heard from the city's recommendation as far as matching roof pitch, materials, design, and color, which includes the water table material?
Not at all. That's actually the plan.
That's consistent with what your applicants or your clients looking for. Any other questions? Okay, with that, we'll seek public input unless you have any further to add.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. At this time, I'll open the floor for public comment, either propose for or against, and understand that you have a 10-minute limitation as well.
I'm Jack White, next door neighbor on the western side, and it'll take me 10 minutes to tell you that I have no problem with this at all. We won't detract from the neighborhood, and I think it'll enhance the O'Donnell's home, and that helps the rest of the neighborhood. So I hope you'll pass this variance and benefit the neighborhood. Thank you.
Mr. Weiss, can you please clarify what you're adjacent to
Yes.
on the side that would be
I'm
impacted?
225, I'm on the side opposite where the garage goes.
Okay,
And I do know the folks well that are on the garage side, and they have no objection either.
okay. Thank you very much for your
Thank you,
input.
Yeah.
Is there any other public comment? Hearing none and seeing none, I will ask the applicant if there's any rebuttal or closing statement you'd like to make. You don't have to. Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant or staff regarding this application? At this point, the public hearing will be closed, and I'll open the floor for a motion and a second. Walt?
I'm going to make a motion to approve V16-004 to allow an accessory structure to encroach into the side yard setback. And I'm not going to give it any conditions, and one of the reasons why is, if I understood correctly, the next-door neighbor is the president of the HOA, and if anything's going to happen, that person's going to probably decide more, and and be more impacted by what it looks like. And my opinion is he'll know better what should work than the city's architect.
Location.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I guess the only thing I would say is the minimum distance. Oh, I'm sorry, the site plan, it's based on, I'm sorry. This approval is based on the site plan prepared by Gunnin Land Surveying LLC, dated February 29, 2016.
Do I hear a second?
Sorry.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this application with the condition that the location shall be according to the site plan of Gunnin. I'm summarizing. Is there any discussion? I'm a little bit hesitant, personally, to not allow or make a provision for the city architect to at least have a stamp of approval. I do hear your point. That's
Two concerns. One, DRB, to my question earlier to staff, if this wouldn't have to go in front of DRB in general, why do it now? I mean, secondly, the word match, to Walt's point earlier, does concern me. I think similar is a better word to use. Match is a very dangerous word from our perspective. But I agree with your point that, and I understand the HOA and that there are checks and balances within the HOA that they're going to have to sign off on this as well, regardless of what we do this evening. But to have the city architect ensure that it does conform to the proper standards, it does seem to be a good checks and balances. I can argue both sides, but I understand your point at the end of the day.
what would you, if you read the first proposed condition, if we struck the first sentence and kept the second, would that achieve maybe some of the, what we're looking for? The second sentence being the final design shall be approved by the city architect prior to issuance of the building permit?
I'd have no objection to that whatsoever.
Well, again, the only thing is,
So it doesn't
I think
constrain them.
my feeling is city architect's very busy. This is something that the HOA can take care of. They're involved with the community. The architect could recommend something that's contrary to what the HOA would recommend. Perhaps, I don't know, but I do know this: government works best when government is close to the people that it affects. If my feeling is, if the HOA is the closest thing to that person, then let them be the ones who make the final decision. The city architect is purely somebody who's giving their opinion, and they may not know the true feeling of the community, whether it's a two-car garage, single-car garage,
That's a fair point.
whatever. And that's the only reason why I say that, because I'm of the feeling that close to the people makes more sense, and especially if the HOA president, what I believe is, lives next door, they'll be scrutinized, and it looks like the neighborhood's in support of it anyway. So
Yeah, and this is an active
I think this
HOA.
gentleman, with what the architecture I see he's got in the house now, in the back of the house, it looks pretty damn good. So I think they'll come out with something that looks good.
Any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second to approve B16-001 with conditions that the location of the structure shall be according to the site plan prepared by Gunnin Land Survey dated February 29th, 2016. Council, do I need to restate the variance request?
No, I think you.
Okay. All right, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion passed unanimous.
Good luck.
Congratulations and good luck. Moving on to the next case, B16-005, 13345 Providence Road. Would staff please present?
Do they want their pictures back?
They might.
Thank you.
We're just going to pass it down.
Thank you.
Jeff, do you want any of this material?
I need to keep a copy for my file.
All right, let's give that to staff then.
Oops. Here's some more.
staff would like to request that it be deferred until next month. In addition to the two requests that are on the agenda, we need to add a request to allow an existing accessory structure to encroach into the 25-foot side setback. They are going to take the structure down and rebuild it, so we need to make sure that's covered as well.
Okay. In the interest of expediency, I'll make a motion to defer V16-005 to our next scheduled Board of Zoning meetings.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second to defer V16-005 to our next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. V16-006, 1745 Dinsmore Road.
B16-006, in this case, staff would like to request that the variance be withdrawn. But the applicant has requested a withdrawal, and staff supports that. It is an existing metal storage structure, and basically, as long as they don't do anything to it, they are allowed to keep it where it is. They are going to fix the roof and paint it, that sort of thing, but other than that, they're not changing the footprint or changing it structurally or anything like that, so they do not need a variance.
Is this something that predates the city's,
In there as long as,
okay,
you know.
okay.
Now, I will say this, my neighbors, and this is one of those cases, I was going to step out in the audience because it's right next to my house, or near my house, I should say. I think his property backs up to my property, not that I see the house even, or for that matter, this garage. But I do know my neighbors have complained to me about drainage, and I think they brought something to you about that. And,
Runoff.
yeah, from this new house and construction, did you forward that on to Jimmy, or?
I did.
Okay, so that's all, so I can at least tell my,
Yeah, just, because I think they got some things confused, the variance and the drainage.
I never knew what it was, so, and I told them, this is not a variance issue, drainage. They need to talk to Jim Seba or
Jimmy.
Carter Lucas,
Jimmy
or,
Lamar.
right, so.
Any further discussion? Again, in the interest of expediency, I'd make a motion to withdraw V16-006.
Second.
And a second. We have a motion and a second to withdraw V16-006. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passed unanimous.
Because counsel, I should have asked, I withdrawn myself from even agreeing to that, since I live next door. I guess it doesn't matter, because I
Do you have an open mind?
do.
Okay, then
most
you're
of the
good.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Agenda item number 6, consideration of appeals. It looks like we have none.
I have none.
Old business. Email issues.
I do have a question for the council on old business. We had a couple lawsuits. Whatever happened with all those? Are they all gone away? I mean, these are lawsuits against different,
Haven't been involved in one for a while, which.
well, the one in Six Hills, I know there was that one.
That was, there was a decision by the court, and it was not appealed. So, the city's decision stood.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about that one anymore. I think that was the only one I think that
Okay.
I can recall that was outstanding.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Angelo, it appears that the email issues have been resolved. Is that true from anyone on the board's perspective?
I think so.
Congratulations.
I didn't know about my other board was having, nobody told me my other board.
We were the
was
only
having
ones who
the same-
complained?
Yeah, they didn't tell me, so I emailed them again.
We know who was trying to read them.
Right.
When the vendor said, oh, it must be their issue, i.e. us, I'm like, yeah, that's not so much so.
Thank you for your patience.
No, thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thanks for following up on that. We struck number 8 from the agenda. Is there any other new business? I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
So how's your new gated community?
Not quite.